Chosen one. Something was seen last night that you cannot explain, but your spirit has already felt it. This is not coincidence. This is not imagination. This is a moment where heaven has stepped into your timeline with intention, because what took place did not go unnoticed. Jesus saw it. Not just the action, but the hesitation behind it. The quiet compromise. The decision you told yourself would not matter. And now heaven is speaking, not to shame you, but to interrupt a pattern before it follows you into your next season. Anointed one. There are times when God allows growth through process, but there are moments when He draws a line. And this is one of those moments, because what you are stepping into next carries weight, purpose, and divine timing. And what was once survivable cannot be repeated where you are going. As it is written in Ecclesiastes 3:1, to everything there is a season, and you have entered a season where awareness must become obedience. If your spirit is already stirring, remain connected and subscribe so you don't miss what heaven is revealing in this hour. Stay with me, chosen one, because what Jesus revealed about last night will uncover what must change before your next door opens. Chosen one, listen carefully, because what you are standing in right now is not just a moment, it is a guarded threshold. God is not only watching your future, He is guarding it. There are things prepared for you that cannot be released into the same patterns you once tolerated. There are doors with your name on them that cannot open while certain cycles still have access to your life. And that is why the tone feels different. That is why the warning feels heavier. It is not pressure, it is protection. You have felt this before, haven't you? That quiet nudge, that moment where something didn't sit right in your spirit, but you brushed past it because it seemed small, because it felt manageable, because you told yourself, it's not that serious. But chosen one, what felt small in the last season carries a different weight now, because you are not in the same place anymore. You have grown. You have seen too much. You have come through too many battles to pretend you do not recognize the pattern anymore. And heaven is responding to that awareness. Heaven is saying, now that you see it, you cannot ignore it. This is where obedience becomes non-negotiable, not because God is trying to control you, but because He is trying to entrust you with something that cannot survive compromise. There are blessings that require alignment. There are assignments that require clarity. And there are seasons where even a small misstep can redirect something much larger than you realize. And this is why you are here. Not by accident, not randomly, but because your spirit needed to hear this before something repeated itself again. Chosen one, if this word is already touching something inside you that is not emotion, that is confirmation. Heaven responds to agreement. Every time you say yes in your spirit, something shifts in the unseen. Every time you choose alignment over comfort, something closes that the enemy once had access to. And every time you take a step in obedience, even when it feels uncomfortable, you are securing a future you cannot yet fully see. You are not just watching this message. You are participating in a moment of alignment. And those who support, those who stay connected, those who lean into what God is doing in this hour, you are not spectators. You are partners in something spiritual, because agreement carries weight. Alignment carries power. So stay with this. Do not scroll past this moment, because what is being revealed to you is not here to frighten you. It is here to preserve you. God is not speaking like this because He is angry. He is speaking like this because He is invested. He does not interrupt the lives of those who have no purpose. He does not correct what He does not plan to use. And He does not warn those He has abandoned. The fact that you are being corrected means you are being prepared. The fact that you are being interrupted means you are still in motion. And the fact that this message found you means your story is not over. Chosen one, do not let the enemy twist this moment into shame. Because shame says you failed, but God says you are being realigned. Shame tries to push you away from truth, but conviction pulls you closer to clarity. There is a difference, and heaven wants you to hear this through the lens of purpose, not punishment. Because as it is written in Hebrews 12:6, the Lord disciplines the one He loves, not to break them, but to shape them, not to reject them, but to claim them. Discipline is not distance. It is relationship. It is the evidence that you belong, and if God were finished with you, He would be silent. He would let you continue without interruption. He would allow the cycle to repeat without resistance. He would step back and let you drift, But he did not do that. He spoke, and that changes everything, because silence is the real danger. Silence means absence. Silence means withdrawal. But today, heaven is not silent. Heaven is speaking, and that means there is still time, time to adjust, time to choose differently, time to break what once had a hold on you. This is not condemnation. This is intervention, a divine interruption designed to protect what is coming next. And you must understand something, chosen one. The intensity you feel right now is not because God is harsh. It is because your season has changed. There are levels in your life where certain mistakes can be survived. And then there are levels where the same mistake carries a completely different consequence. Because as purpose increases, so does responsibility. You are not who you used to be. You are not as unaware as you once were. You have prayed too deeply. You have seen too clearly. You have come too far to keep excusing what God has already addressed. And with that kind of light comes accountability, not to burden you, but to elevate you. Because God is not holding you to your past understanding. He is holding you to what you know now. And right now you know. You know the pattern. You know the moment. You know the decision point where things begin to shift in the wrong direction. And that is exactly where God is speaking, because you are standing at the edge of something new. And new doors require new discipline. New levels require new thinking. And what once felt manageable can become dangerous when carried into a higher calling. That habit you controlled before may control you now. That compromise you survived before may cost you now. Not because God has changed, but because your assignment has grown and God is too invested in your future to stay silent while something from your past tries to follow you into your next season. So listen closely, chosen one. This is not restriction. This is protection. This is God placing a boundary around something valuable. This is God saying, what I am about to entrust to you cannot be exposed to what you are about to repeat. And that is why this moment matters. More than you realize, more than it feels, because what you choose right here determines what is allowed to move forward with you. Pause here and stay with this, because in the next part we are going to uncover why repetition carries more power than you think and what is really at stake if it continues. Chosen one, you must understand something deeper now. Something many overlook because it moves quietly beneath the surface of your decisions. Repetition does not shout. It settles. It does not force itself into your life. It becomes familiar, and that is where its power lies, because what you repeat you begin to accept. What you accept you begin to justify, and what you justify you eventually protect. That is how something small becomes something strong. You have seen this pattern in your own life before. It does not begin with rebellion. It begins with reasoning. A thought that says it's not that serious this time. A feeling that says I can handle it. A moment where you choose comfort over clarity. And slowly, without realizing it, what once felt wrong starts to feel normal. Chosen one. This is where many lose ground without even knowing it. Not because they lack strength, but because they allowed repetition to reshape their perception. And once perception changes, conviction grows quieter. The voice that once warned you becomes easier to ignore. The line that once felt clear becomes blurred. And suddenly, you are defending what God already addressed. This is why heaven is interrupting you now. Because God is not just looking at what the action is. He is looking at what it becomes when repeated. He sees where it leads, how it grows, what doors it opens over time. And he is stepping in before it takes root deeper than you intended. There's a reason this feels urgent, because patterns are predictable. And the enemy does not need new strategies when old ones still work. He studies what you return to. He watches what you tolerate. He learns where your guard lowers and where your reasoning overrides your discernment. And once he finds that place, he does not rush. He waits. He waits for the moment when the cost will be higher, when your position will be greater, when your influence will be wider. Because what could not destroy you before may carry a different weight later. That is why this warning is not random. It is strategic. God is exposing a pattern before it becomes a pathway. He is revealing a weakness before it becomes an entry point. He is bringing light to something that only grows in silence, because anything that depends on secrecy loses power when it is seen clearly. And right now, you are seeing clearly, chosen one. There is something else you need to recognize. This is not just about you. The decisions you make in private echo into places you cannot yet see. The patterns you allow shape atmospheres beyond your present moment. Your choices do not end with you. They build foundations that others will stand on later. You may not always feel the weight of that in the moment, but it is real. Every act of obedience strengthens something ahead of you. Every compromise weakens something that was meant to be protected. Think about the times in your life where one decision seemed small, but later you realized how much it affected everything that followed. That is how this works. And that is why God is speaking now, because he sees the full picture. He sees what this could touch. Your calling, your peace, your clarity, the people connected to your obedience, the doors that are waiting for your alignment. And he is saying, do not let this follow you forward. This is not about fear. This is about awareness. Because once you are aware, you have authority. Authority to choose differently. Authority to stop what once felt automatic. Authority to break a cycle that has quietly followed you through seasons. And yes, chosen one, breaking it may feel uncomfortable because familiarity has a pull. It feels easier to go back to what you know even when you know it is not right. It feels easier to repeat what is familiar than to step into something new that requires discipline. But growth has always required discomfort. Transformation has always required a decision at the exact moment where you used to respond differently. That moment is where everything shifts. It is not in the big declarations. It is not in the visible victories. It is in the quiet decision where no one else is watching, but you know exactly what you are choosing. That is where cycles are broken, and that is where destiny is protected. Chosen one, God is not asking you to be perfect. He is asking you to be intentional, to pause where you once rushed, to think where you once reacted, to listen where you once ignored that inner warning. Because transformation does not begin with behavior. It begins with awareness. As it is written in Romans 12:2, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Everything starts in the mind. If your thinking changes, your response changes. If your response changes, your pattern changes. And if your pattern changes, your future changes. This is not just about stopping something. This is about becoming someone new. Someone who no longer responds the same way. Someone who recognizes the moment before it unfolds. Someone who chooses clarity over impulse even when it feels harder. And listen carefully, chosen one. Do not confuse correction with rejection. God is not pulling away from you. He is drawing you closer, because if he did not care, he would not speak. If he did not see value in you, he would not interrupt. If he did not have plans for you, he would not correct you. This moment is proof of investment, proof that your life matters, proof that your direction matters, proof that what is ahead of you is worth protecting. You are not being pushed away. You are being prepared. And preparation always feels different than comfort. So take this moment seriously, not with fear, but with clarity, because what you decide here will echo into what comes next. Stay with this chosen one, because what we are about to uncover will reveal how to recognize the exact moment where the pattern tries to return and how to respond differently when it does. Chosen one. Now we need to go deeper into something very practical, something real, something you have already experienced more times than you may realize. The moment before the mistake is never loud, it is quiet, it is subtle, it feels almost ordinary, and that is why it is so easy to miss. There is always a point where you feel something shift inside you. A small hesitation, a subtle awareness, a quiet thought that says this is not the right direction, but it comes softly, without pressure, without force. And if you're not paying attention, it passes quickly. That is the moment God is teaching you to recognize, because the enemy does not begin with the fall. He begins with the setup. A feeling, an environment, a conversation, a memory, a thought that opens the door just enough for you to step back into what you already overcame. And if you do not slow down in that moment, you move on instinct. And instinct is shaped by your past patterns. That is why you cannot rely on willpower alone. You have tried that before. You told yourself, I will not do this again. You made the decision, you meant it, you believed it. But when the moment came, it did not feel like a big decision. It felt like something familiar, and you slipped back into it without realizing how quickly it happened. This is where transformation must become intentional. Chosen one. You have to start asking different questions. Not just why did I do that, but what led me there? What emotion opened the door? Was it frustration, loneliness, stress, boredom, or even comfort? What environment made it easier? What thought made it feel justified? Because every repeated pattern has a root, and if you do not identify the root, you will keep fighting the result. God is not only calling you to resist the mistake, He is calling you to understand the pattern behind it. Because once you understand it, you gain authority over it. You begin to see it before it unfolds. You begin to recognize the moment before it becomes a decision. And that is where your power is. Not after it happens, before it happens. That is where obedience lives. Chosen one. This is where your growth becomes real. It is not in the times when everything feels easy. It is in the moment when the same situation presents itself again, but you respond differently. That is how you know something has changed. And yes, it may feel uncomfortable because you are interrupting something that once felt natural. You are choosing a response that may feel unfamiliar. You are walking away from something that once felt normal. But that discomfort is not weakness. It is evidence of transformation, because when you begin to change your response, you begin to break the pattern. And when the pattern breaks, the cycle loses its power. This is how freedom actually happens. Not all at once, not in a dramatic moment, but in a series of quiet decisions where you choose differently than you did before. And each time you do, something shifts inside you. Your mind becomes clearer. Your spirit becomes stronger. Your awareness becomes sharper. And what once felt difficult begins to feel natural in a new way. This is what renewal looks like. It is not just about stopping behavior. It is about renewing how you think. Because if your thinking remains the same, your actions will eventually follow the same path. But when your thinking changes, your actions begin to align with that new understanding. That is why the scripture says in Romans 12:2 that transformation comes through the renewing of the mind. Not just behavior, but mindset. Not just action, but perception. Because the enemy cannot control what you see clearly. He relies on confusion. He relies on automatic responses. He relies on you moving without awareness. But when you slow down and recognize what is happening, his strategy begins to lose its power. Chosen one. This is where you must become honest with yourself. There are moments where you knew what you were about to do was not aligned, but you chose it anyway because it felt easier in that moment. And this is not about condemnation. This is about clarity, because clarity gives you the ability to choose differently next time, and there will be a next time. The situation will come again. The feeling will return. The opportunity to repeat it will present itself again. But this time you will not be unaware. This time you will recognize it. And that recognition is your advantage, because when you see it, you can stop it. When you feel it, you can pause. When the thought comes, you can question it instead of accepting it. This is how you take back control, not by fighting harder, but by becoming more aware. Chosen one. Remember this: failure does not cancel your calling, but unaddressed repetition can delay what God is trying to release. There is a difference. You are not disqualified because of what happened before. You are being refined because of what is happening now. God is not looking at your past to define your future. He is looking at your response in this moment. And this moment is where everything changes, because right now you are being given something powerful. Awareness, understanding, another opportunity. These are not small things. They are evidence that God is still working with you, still shaping you, still preparing you for something greater. And when God gives you awareness, He expects alignment, not out of pressure, but out of trust. He trusts that you can respond differently. Now He trusts that you can recognize what you did not recognize before. He trusts that you are ready to walk at a higher level. That is why this message is coming to you now. Not earlier now, because now you are ready to hear it. Now you are ready to see it. Now you are ready to respond to it. Chosen one, you are standing at a decision point. Not fear, but clarity. Not pressure, but opportunity. And what you choose here will shape what comes next. Stay with this, because what we are about to step into will reveal what it truly means to choose differently, and how that decision begins to unlock what has been waiting for you. Chosen one. This is where the weight of your decision becomes clear. Not in theory, but in reality. Because choosing differently is not just about avoiding a mistake, it is about unlocking something that has been waiting on the other side of your obedience. There are doors that do not respond to effort. They respond to alignment. There are opportunities that are not delayed by time but by readiness. And there are blessings that are not withheld as punishment but protected until the moment you can carry them without compromising them. This is where you are standing right now, at a point where one decision can either continue a cycle or release a new chapter. And the truth is, many people want what is next, but they are not willing to release what keeps pulling them back. They want the new season, but they carry the old responses into it. They pray for change, but they repeat the same patterns that block it. And then they wonder why things feel stuck. But you're not in that place anymore, because now you see it. Now you recognize it. Now you understand that what feels like a small decision is actually a gateway. A gateway that either keeps you in what you already know or leads you into something you have not yet experienced. This is why God speaks so clearly in moments like this, because He is not just showing you what to avoid. He is showing you what is available. Chosen one. There is something powerful about choosing differently. When you had every reason to repeat the same thing, it shifts something in the spirit. It breaks agreement with the past. It closes a door that once remained open. And in that same moment, it opens another door that could not open before. This is how obedience works. It is not always loud. It is not always visible, but it is always effective. And sometimes the greatest shift in your life will not come from something dramatic, but from a quiet decision that no one else sees, but heaven responds to immediately. You may not feel it right away. You may not see the result instantly, but something changes. Because every act of obedience plants something, and what you plant in obedience, you will eventually walk into as a result. Chosen one. This is why God is inviting you into clarity, not confusion. He is not asking you to guess. He is not leaving you uncertain. He is making it clear so that you can move with confidence, because uncertainty leads to hesitation, but clarity leads to decision, and decision leads to movement. You have been in seasons before where you felt unsure, where you questioned yourself, where you went back and forth between what you felt and what you knew. But this is not that season. This is a season of knowing. And with knowing comes responsibility. As it is written in Deuteronomy 30, God places before you life and death, blessing and consequence, and then gives you the instruction to choose life. Not because He forces you, but because He shows you what leads forward. And that is where you are now. Standing in front of a clear choice, not hidden, not complicated, clear. And the beauty of this moment is that you are not being asked to fix everything at once. You are being asked to respond differently in one moment, one decision, one response. That is how everything begins to shift. Because once you choose differently, once you realize you can do it again and again and again, until what was once a struggle becomes a strength, until what once pulled you back no longer has the same hold, until what once felt like a cycle becomes something you have completely stepped out of. Chosen one, do not underestimate the power of this moment, because this is how stories change, not by chance, not by accident, but by decision. You are not rewriting your life in one day. You are rewriting it in one choice. And that choice is happening now. This is not about fear of making the wrong decision. This is about confidence in making the right one, because you already know. You have felt it. You have recognized it, and now you are being asked to act on it. And listen carefully. This is important. God is not watching you with anger. He is watching you with expectation, not waiting for you to fail, but believing that you will choose differently, because He knows what is inside you. He knows your capacity. He knows your growth. And He knows that you are not the same person you used to be. That is why this moment is here, because you are ready for it. And when you step into that decision, something shifts not only around you but within you. Your confidence strengthens. Your clarity deepens. Your connection with God becomes sharper, and what once felt distant begins to feel aligned. This is not just about avoiding a mistake. This is about stepping into alignment. Alignment with your purpose. Alignment with your calling. Alignment with what has already been prepared for you. And once you align, things begin to move. Opportunities begin to open. Clarity begins to increase. Peace begins to settle in a way you have not felt before. Not because everything around you has changed, but because something within you has chosen one. This is your moment to choose life, to choose growth over comfort, to choose obedience over familiarity, to choose purpose over patterns. And when you do, you will begin to see something powerful unfold. Not all at once, but steadily, consistently, surely, because what God has prepared for you is not fragile, but it is protected. And your obedience is part of that protection. So take this step, make this decision, and trust that what you are choosing now is leading you into something greater than what you are leaving behind. Stay with this, because what comes next will seal this decision in your spirit and give you the strength to walk it out fully. Chosen one. Now this moment must move from understanding into surrender, because clarity without action will not protect you, but alignment will. This is where you stop negotiating with what you already know. This is where you release the excuses, the justifications, the quiet reasoning that tried to make something acceptable when your spirit was already unsettled. You have carried that tension before, that inner conflict, where part of you knew the truth, but another part wanted to stay comfortable. But today, you're not choosing comfort. You're choosing alignment. And that choice is not something you make once with your words, but something you confirm with your actions. Because obedience is not a feeling. It is a decision that you walk out in real time. There will be moments ahead where the same opportunity returns, where the same thought appears, where the same situation tries to replay itself. But you will not meet it the same way. You will pause where you used to rush. You will think where you used to react. You will choose what is right even when it feels unfamiliar. And that is where your strength will show. Chosen one, you are not being asked to fight this alone. God is not sending you back into the same place without equipping you differently. Where you once felt weak, He will now give you awareness. Where temptation once felt loud, His voice will become clearer. Where you once felt pulled, you will now feel anchored. Because when you choose alignment, heaven responds with strength. This is not about trying harder. This is about walking with greater clarity. And as you do, something begins to break. Cycles that followed you through seasons begin to lose their hold. Patterns that once felt automatic begin to weaken. And what once felt like something you could not control becomes something you can walk away from with confidence. That is not your effort alone. That is grace meeting your decision. Chosen one. This is the moment where you stop repeating and start rewriting. Not your entire life all at once, but the part that kept holding you back. The part that tried to follow you into every new season. The part that quietly delayed what God was preparing. That part ends here. Not because you are perfect, but because you are aware, and awareness changes everything. You are not weak. You are becoming intentional. You are not disqualified. You are being aligned. You are not stuck. You're being given a chance to choose differently. And this chance is not small. It is sacred, because every time God warns you before something happens, it means there is still time to turn. It means the outcome is not fixed. It means your future is still open, and yours is. Your story is still being written. Your purpose is still intact. Your destiny has not been canceled. It is waiting on your alignment. Chosen one, take a moment and be honest with yourself. You already know what this is about. You already recognize the pattern. You already feel where the decision needs to change. And now you're standing in front of it with clarity. So choose not with fear, not with hesitation, but with confidence. Choose what leads you forward. Choose what protects what God is building in your life. Choose what aligns with who you are becoming, not who you used to be. And when you make that choice, do not look back at it with doubt. Stand in it, walk in it, trust it, because God is not watching you to see if you fail. He is watching you, expecting you to rise. He is not measuring you by your past. He is responding to your present. And right now, your present is filled with opportunity. Opportunity to break a cycle. Opportunity to protect your future. Opportunity to step into what has been waiting for you. Chosen one. This is not the end of something. This is the beginning of something new. A new level of clarity, a new level of discipline, a new level of alignment. And as you move forward from this moment, you will begin to notice the difference. Your decisions will feel clearer. Your direction will feel stronger. Your peace will feel deeper. Not because everything around you has changed instantly, but because you have. And that is where everything begins. So move forward. not carrying what tried to follow you, not repeating what tried to hold you, but stepping into what God has prepared with intention, clarity, and strength. And remember this always, the mistake does not define you, but the decision you make now will shape what comes next. So step forward, chosen one. Heaven is watching, not with judgment, but with expectation. Chosen one. This is not just the end of a message. It is the sealing of a moment heaven has already marked for your life. You were not warned by accident. You were not corrected by chance. You were seen. And because you were seen, you were protected. What God revealed to you was not meant to condemn you, but to preserve what is ahead of you. So as you step forward from this moment, do not carry hesitation, carry clarity. Do not carry fear, carry alignment. Because the same God who warned you is the same God who is guiding you into what comes next. May your steps be guarded. May your mind be clear. May your spirit remain sensitive to every whisper of truth. And when that moment returns, when the choice presents itself again, may you remember this warning and choose differently with strength. If this word has settled deeply in your spirit, write "I choose alignment" in the comments as a declaration of what you are stepping into. And remain connected, chosen one, so you do not miss what heaven continues to reveal for your journey. Walk forward now, not as who you were, but as who you are becoming.